Humidus Podcast.
Welcome, beautiful listener, to the Humidus Podcast once more. With Hammer and Steph, of course, at the helm of this ship, sailing into a vast sea of gaming news and rants. Hello, Steph.
Hey there. It's good to be back. This is our first podcast of 2021,
Yeah.
the year in
Feels
which
special.
the world will start putting out its horrible dumpster fires, hopefully.
Yeah, we can always live in the hope, you know. No, let's just put an end to that horrible pile of dumpster fire that was 2020, and let's move on. Let's move on. And I mean, the 2020 year in gaming seems to be getting off at a very good start, wouldn't you say?
Well, yeah.
You're not quite agree.
I don't know. I had to kind of think as to what's coming out that I'm really looking forward to. And for me, the only thing that comes to mind, explodes to my mind, is Dark Tide.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm just trying to generate some hype, you know. It's not, it's not really anything, you know, really great at the horizon.
No. I mean,
So yeah, yes. Well, today, beautiful listener, we are going to discuss the recent news about the Elder Scrolls, which is apparently going to be set to Hammerfell.
yeah.
The Elder Scrolls 6. Yeah, do you want to kind of lead in on that?
All I can say, since I don't know too much about Hammerfell, other than it's the home of the Red Guards and, it's has a lot of deserts, I think it's going to be nice to see a previously largely unexplored place in Tamriel, because
Yeah.
Cyrodiil, I thought was nice, but it was very, kind of generic. And then Morrowind was very unique, but
Yeah.
also, very dark and murky, and it looked like Nurgle just let out a small stinky one there.
Yeah.
And then Skyrim was also a beautiful place to set a game, but I've never been that partial to sort of, Scandinavian settings. You know what I mean?
No.
I don't know why. It's beautiful and all that. It's just, and probably kind of ironic since I am Norwegian, but it's just, I don't know. I like more tropical settings, I guess. A little bit more lush.
Yeah.
So,
grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah. Give me
You
the
don't
palm
want
trees.
what you have. Yeah. I mean, but it's strange to say that, because I kind of feel the same, that these northern and Norse-ish kind of settings are, I don't know, a little bit boring.
Yeah.
To me. Somehow they are.
There's gonna be some Scandinavian diehards out there being like, "Oh my god, you don't know how nice it is to go with a quick lunch chocolate, and you can't even appreciate that on a field trip or a hike." I'm just like, nah, fam.
But I can certainly appreciate that. It's not that. It's just that's not what I look into gaming for. You know.
You don't want to slay dragons while you eat your quick lunch?
No. Well, that would be actually, quite nice to have quick lunch as like a small snack, because, slaying dragons, fucking caloric deficit galore, So
Yeah.
you need to kind of keep even on the blood sugar, and
Yeah.
that quick lunch is
You make a good point.
Yeah, quick lunch is a great tool. For those of you who don't know, it's basically like a Kit Kat,
Yeah.
only a little bit different. And Norwegians just love it for taking on a hike just to get that sugar, because you always need that sugar climbing the mountains.
That's sugar deficiency is the most commonly faced danger of going on a hike, especially in Norway.
Back to the topic of issue. So yeah, it's gonna be a deserty kind of environment.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, yeah, probably inspired by some like Eastern culture setting, maybe a little bit of um, Arabic culture in there.
Yeah, I mean, when you saw the Red Guards in Skyrim, the ones that are part of that side quest in
Yeah.
Whiterun, they have like these turbans and they have like
Mhm.
the curved sabers and everything. So I guess it's
Yeah.
fair to expect that.
Yeah.
So
I don't. I don't consider myself a lore specialist on the Elder Scrolls series, but it's going to be something with turbans. Okay. Very
great
PC.
deduction, and
Yeah.
and but also even more excitingly is that the Netflix is developing an Elder Scrolls series, which
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
say is gonna be about as big as The Witcher. And did you watch The Witcher?
I did, yes, and that was a very good series.
It was. And if they are bringing that same level of dedication and love for the source material,
Hmm.
I'm pretty excited for this. And because Netflix
Yeah.
has really proven that they take this seriously and they can make good stuff with existing properties.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think also that for the Elder Scrolls, with its vast history and all the legends and all these things that have happened, it's really easy to just make stories there, whether they are connected to the games or not.
I mean, yeah, they've proven that they can do it. So this is generating some hype.
At least among us. But truth is, I haven't seen much buzz around it in other
No,
areas though.
no, but I don't know. This article that I read was published on the December 20 or 31st.
Yeah,
So it's
4 days
kind of
old.
it's really fresh. But yeah, I haven't seen a lot of kind of buzzle with it. Maybe they need to promote, do some promotional materials or something to get and generate a little bit more discussion. But I would expect this to be kind of hype, wouldn't you? I mean,
Yeah, I guess maybe once they release the first photos from the set,
yeah,
or some
probably.
more like proper statements from the producer or whatever, like they did with The
Yeah,
Witcher.
all right.
I do remember all the buzz The Witcher got when they released the first picture of the Nilfgaardian soldiers in
Oh
armor,
yeah.
and everybody thought it was like mocap suits. It's just like
Mm,
because it looked fucking dreadful. But
yeah.
it didn't turn out that bad when you actually saw it in the show. So,
No, no, it was okay. It was definitely okay.
but the first pictures though, they were not promising. Looked like LARPing
No,
people.
no, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I'm pretty psyched, and Netflix is like very available. It's easy to kind of almost everybody has like a Netflix subscription, so this might kind of normalize this type of adaptation
hmm I think so.
even more so than like The Witcher did, because I feel that Netflix, they're kind of on a roll with these adaptions. They're like, I don't know. I think their strategy is just to pour money to keep like dominance of
hmm
the streaming kind of wars, you know, with
Yeah,
Disney and HBO and Apple.
and especially they've in lieu of the pandemic, they've really tried to use their sneaky chaos tendrils
Yeah,
into the cinema culture and all that as well, trying to sneak a bigger portion of the pie away from cinema.
yeah, definitely. Like there's some scene she scheming in there.
Yeah, and you know, what once that happens, I don't remember if we discussed this before, but HBO was doing that whole thing with Warner Brothers, and like they
Y-
wanted to show all their movies, like stream all the movies coming this year
Yeah,
on HBO Max at the same time. But then it had a fallout where several of the directors of these movies that would be affected have disputed it and tried to fight back against it and prevent it,
yeah,
especially Denis Villeneuve, the guy who makes Dune. he was
Yeah.
like, "Nah, dude, if I can prevent this."
No.
Yeah, he was not happy
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. I guess that's kind of like I don't know. I don't want to call it a cultural thing, but these directors, they look at their creations as art and not as kind of financial, ends to means to an end. So they wanted, they want a grand premiere, where
Yeah.
people can enjoy their art and their product. And I don't think that the kind of reach is that important. Of course, it is important, but the grandeur of having a big premiere at the movie theater, I feel that that's kind of important, for a director at least.
Yeah.
So I can see why they're not as willing to go along with that.
Yeah, and like I mean, as an artist, and especially one that is as esteemed as that level of director, why wouldn't you want a grandiose opening? And why wouldn't you want your piece of art to be appreciated in the most visually intense and immersive, experience possible? So,
Yeah, sure. I for a second there, I thought you were gonna say as an artist myself.
yes, of course.
Yeah. You were gonna speak on behalf of artists everywhere.
Yeah, yeah,
But,
yeah. Of course, you know me. You know me.
yeah, I know you.
I mean, I create.
You're quite creative though, aren't you, Steph? Maybe
I
not
mean, I've
visually.
recently taken to creating paintings the Fulgrim way.
Yeah, yeah, with blood and other stuff,
An excrement, put it in a bag, just
excrement,
shake the bag, just toss it on a canvas.
and like smear all over it. Just take your hands and feet and just go crazy. Just tap dance, scream while you're doing it.
Yeah, exactly. And then it just creates such an immense amount of warp energy that
Yeah, the picture or the canvas basically gets demon possessed, and then you
instantaneously,
know
mind you.
instantaneously, and then it's beautiful to behold. Uh,
And that's gonna be the plot for The Exorcist 5.
and yeah, are you gonna? Is that straight to HBO Max, or is that gonna have a premiere?
No,
You're the director of that, right?
I mean, in order to get like that obscure and kind of like warpy feel to the
Mhm.
image, you need it to be a little bit like I want it to premiere on VHS.
Right, right, right. It's got to be retro. It's got to be that analog feel.
There's gonna be some limited editions on Laserdisc.
Okay, yeah, yeah, sure. For those of you who don't still have a laserdisc player,
I'm also in talks with trying to get it onto a Game Boy Color, but we'll see how that works.
sure. I mean, the Game Boy Color had some fucking weird shit on it. Like, did you remember the Game Boy printer that
Yeah,
and the camera? You could
yeah.
like take a picture with I don't know what 4 pixels on it and print that out.
It was amazing too because you could put these stamps on it.
Yeah, right, right. The stamps. I forgot that. I
I
remember my
mean,
buddy had actually had that setup with the camera and the printer.
yeah,
It was like, I mean, they were quite expensive as well. I remember thinking that I was like, I'm not going to buy this if I can buy a game instead,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know? And that was that. So I never got one.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't really know why they would make something like that. But then they also have the Work Boy thing that was recently shown. That was like this kind of obscure appendix to one of the first Game Boys, where you could actually attach like a keyboard to it, and you could kind of use it to do office work.
Sure. That sounds like Nintendo. Jesus. They always tried to they tried to do that with the DS as well.
Hmm.
Remember all the like, and that was, to be fair, a little actually quite useful. They had the Sudoku and the brain workout stuff.
Mm.
It was
Yeah,
quite good actually, and they had like a lot of different software for that thing.
but by the time it came to that, to the DS, they already had that stylus and touchscreen thing going for it, and
Yeah,
already just that made it like such a more compatible piece of hardware for these kind of like artisty endeavors, you know?
Yeah. Did you ever try Mario Paint on the Super Nintendo? I think maybe you're a little bit too young for that. That was like a very Nintendo thing also, and you could like buy a mouse for your Super Nintendo, and it was basically a rudimentary paint program where you could paint and do very basic animations and compose some music. It was
Wait, what?
yeah, it was quite fun. You should check it out. It's quite a good like software actually, and I mean it was a little bit limited in terms of being able to kind of export and publish your creations, but I think that was like the humble beginnings of many an artist that still going strong today with
Well, the
Mario Paint.
state secret, the humidus vault of secrets, actually revealed that most of our jingles are made with that software.
Yeah, yeah. We painstakingly export it from like a custom cartridge that you plug into the SNES, and like export the what MIDI something tunes. Yeah, that's a true story actually. But what were we talking about? The Elder Scrolls Netflix? Yeah,
Yeah, the other show's Netflix show. I mean, yeah. What would you want to see out of that? Like, what kind of setting would you want? Would you want it to like be like kind of connected to the games, or would you want it to be like a brand new thing in a different time?
I think that it's very hard to make a good drama or like action fantasy using a game as a basis, like the story of a game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I don't know, it's maybe The Witcher is a little bit easier, the I feel that the Elder Scrolls is a little bit harder to kind of nail down.
Yeah.
It's the settings are very diverse, and yeah, I don't know, it's hard to kind of predict where they're going with this, but I feel that it's a bit hard to write something compelling, based on the games alone, and that they'll I think they'll kind of use the universe more, and
Mm-hmm.
just kind of make up maybe a new cast to and a new story to fill this world with.
Yeah. And also, at the time of recording, or like last I checked, I remember I was looking for audiobooks back when I was doing that really monotonous physical labor work where I just listened to audiobooks all day. I was always on the lookout for new fantasy. And I
Yeah.
remember looking for novels set in the Elder Scrolls universe. But back then, they were like only a couple, and they didn't get very good reviews either. They were like, fine.
Hmm.
Please, if any of you out there have read any of them and believe otherwise, feel free to prove me wrong. I'd rather there be a good book about it. But
Yeah.
and that also creates a little bit of worry for me about the show, because like on one hand, if they take something completely new, it can go either way. Um, and we have like no clue. But on the other hand, they could. It also creates that kind of like a little bit of excitement. Be like, yeah, we're gonna explore a different part of Elder Scrolls history and in live action format. Great. Um, but then they could also pull Disney Star Wars and be like, we heard all you guys talking about the Old Republic. We heard you. Here's the High Republic.
Yeah, it can be like that. I mean, there's nothing revealed yet. I understand what you mean by the kind of tendency to misinterpret what fans want,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean the fans are like a nurgly mass. It's a little bit hard to pick out
Yeah.
an organ to focus in on. uh,
One organ in the amorphous blobs.
yeah, in the rotting desecration that once was something distinguishable. Yeah. I mean, I don't quite know, but we'll just have to wait and see what they can pull out of their hats. And
I got one suggestion. Instead of the best setting, what would be the shittiest setting you could imagine in the Elder Scrolls for a live action show?
the shittiest setting
Yeah.
for like imagine this like a sitcom style romantic comedy series uh with like uh uh, setting, maybe like in a Skyrim setting, living in like a small town and stuff like that, with dragons and giants, roaming about, disrupting daily life. And I mean, this is not a shitty setting at all.
No,
I
it's
actually want
better
to
than I
watch
expected.
that. But no, I can't do it. I mean, a sitcom would be very unexpected, but might be cool. Hmm.
Yeah. Imagine if it would be like a sitcom, be like Days in the Lives of Vivek or something like that.
Yeah, that could work. Uh,
That was way better than I expected. But
yeah, I mean, it's hard to make something that's bad.
yeah,
So
I was thinking about like a very involved and meticulous documentary about the life cycle of mud crabs. But even that would be kind of interesting, wouldn't it?
yeah, that would be, yeah, that would be interesting for sure. I mean, some people enjoy that kind of insanely in-depth
I
lore.
mean, all right, yeah.
Like in 40K, it's like some areas of the lore is on that level almost.
What
It's like a documentary style.
I mean, yeah, and for the Elder Scrolls, there's just so much that's like unexplored in live action. But if we're going by like the more realistic kind of like uninteresting kind of setting, maybe something like they try to adapt like the civil war between the Stormcloaks and Imperials.
Yeah, yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, yeah, I think they're gonna do like something like that because they want to have a mass appeal with this. They don't want it to be too niche either, because they want to generate interest.
But imagine if
So
that was a sitcom, and then it's essentially just like,
yeah,
and then you have like the Stormcloak boss. I don't remember his name, and he just sits there at his like table, and then suddenly General Tullius just breaks in the door like Kramer does in Seinfeld, and there's the laugh track.
yeah, of course, the laugh track. That's that's the hallmark of a good sitcom. Oh yeah. No, we'll just have to wait and see, I think, because this is still very early days. Uh, but in segueing on, not related at all. Some some GTA 6 assets was apparently found recently in the files of Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah,
Um, well, I read through that article and it's very thin.
yeah, it is.
They kind of claim that it might hint at a 1980s setting.
Yeah, so Vice City, I
Um,
guess.
yeah, like a Vice City style, but I mean, they're going off of like file names. So what they found some file names for some weapons
Yeah.
that are similar to what how weapons were named in GTA 5, but not like 100% similar. And the models of the weapons
Hmm.
were, in vogue in that general period, and that's how they found. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, but I think I do think there is some merit to this though, because
yeah,
like if you
sure,
look at it on another perspective, right? In terms of the new GTA games, like the newer since like from 360 and up,
yeah,
you have GTA 4 that was basically GTA 3's city, right? And then
yeah,
you had GTA 5, which was San Andreas,
mhm,
Los Santos. So I mean, yeah, the next one would be Vice City. That would make sense to me.
yeah, yeah. Like, yeah, because they're kind of going around in a loop.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean
mind.
that makes sense. And the I think that it's also based on a rumor that it's gonna be 1980s,
Hmm.
and it's gonna be like cartel style stuff.
Yeah,
But still, I think that it's quite a reach. Like the argument is that the L1A1 rifle was produced between 1954 to 1999. That's like okay.
but isn't that yeah? That's one of the Arctic warfare guns, isn't it?
Yeah, the L1A1. Let's see. I didn't check that out, but I'm
No, fuck me. It's
no,
it's
yeah,
actually one of the FALs.
yeah. It's like yeah, it's in the SLR basically. If you've played PUBG.
Oh yeah. Let's continue the trend. What would be the shittiest thing they could do with this setting for
The
GTA
shittiest
6?
thing. I mean, the shittiest period, or
No, just the shittiest thing. Let's say it's a GTA 6. It's like in 1980s, right?
Mhm,
It's
yeah.
in Vice City. But then, what's the shittiest thing they could do with that?
I mean, it's just gonna turn out awesome again. Yeah. Okay, so I was gonna say you could do like a Stranger Things, kind of like 80s kid style game where you're basically a kid and you try to, I don't know, fight some kind of government conspiracy.
Grand
And
Theft D20.
yeah, and you kind of walk around and do everything like an adult, but you're just basically a kid with no teeth. Lisping you right through there. I don't know. Maybe that's not too awesome, but I can't really
I
twist. Yeah.
I would trust Rockstar with making something awesome out of it.
Mhm.
But I think if you expect GTA and you get that,
Yeah, that might be a letdown. But I mean, you said the shittiest kind of. I don't know how to twist GTA to be like, you know, really. It's always awesome, whether because you kind of play someone else's life and you have full reign over it. So that's an awesome feeling.
I actually I have a couple of ideas. You
Yeah,
know, so for example, let's say it is the most awesome like expansion or like development and evolution of GTA 5's what GTA 5 did, right? It's like it has
yeah,
everything that's perfect, like great next gen graphics. It has like a huge sprawling 80s world,
hmm,
from everything from like Vice City down to Cuba, whatever. You do all these kind of like you
yeah,
can build your own cocaine empire, whatever.
yeah, yeah.
Except every time you want to reload your gun or steal a car, it becomes a 5-minute puzzle game.
Oh, yeah, that would ruin it. That would ruin it. But
And
yeah,
the background sounds of those puzzle games will just be a random Age of Empires or Heroes 3 soundbite on loop.
okay. I mean, that would be very random if they actually did that. That would be insanely okay. That would be annoying. But what about this? They do that, but they add the option to pay the way through it with microtransactions.
Oh, even better, macro transactions.
Microtransactions. Yeah, I mean that would fucking suck if that because the fluency of the game. Oh, that would fuck and like a perfect implementation of the rest of the game.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
would be perfect. It would be the best game you ever played, but you always had to go through like a fucking mini game every time you had to reload your gun or jack a car.
and there is since obviously there's gonna be the producers are gonna make it like a super crunch for the developers, so they're
Mm.
gonna have to push it out half baked, such as Cyberpunk was. But here
Mm.
the thing is that there's a 60% chance that every time you load your save it gets permanently unfixably corrupted.
Oh, Jesus. But that would if it was like that, it would be a no go. It would be slaughtered. But I mean, imagine the crunch time on GTA. and like, Jesus, that GTA 5 was such an insanely polished game. I mean,
Yeah.
RD2 was like that as well, but I feel that that was more of a they had a little bit more time on that one, or they didn't kind of announce it almost, before it was ready.
Yeah.
It worked like for years and years before they announced it. But yeah, imagine like working. But what do you think? They say they're gonna focus on single player on this one as well, and
Hmm.
I pray to fucking God that they are going to
Yeah.
do that. But when you see GTA Online and what kind of cash cow that is for them, you kind of get your doubts.
Yeah. In these cases, blessed is the mind too small for doubts.
Yeah, yeah. You kind of
That's
keep that simplistic imperial citizen vibe going.
yeah. I mean, I just hope they continue doing what they did, as in like they just keep them separate.
Mm,
That they for in GTA 5, I thought it was a great you know way of separating the two, because or like doing each justice to a certain extent, because story mode in the single player GTA 5 I thought was really great.
oh yeah,
Online started out horrible. Was a very
yeah,
rocky launch,
yeah,
but then it just gradually grew into this massive behemoth. And
yeah.
arguably, they didn't learn too much in Red Dead, except when it came to online launch. But the story mode there too
Oh,
was amazing, right? But then they also tried to shape online into this big thing. So I hope they just keep the trend of that and just improve the launch state of the online component instead of just
yeah.
like trying to make it some kind of mobile free to
Oh
play bullshit. You know?
yeah, yeah. I feel that's the only kind of big caveat, or the big thing that can go wrong is if they kind of skew it a little bit too much towards the online play. Because I mean, maybe I'm a boomer like that, but I feel that the single player experience was so rock solid and has always been insanely satisfying.
Yeah.
Maybe four was not that satisfying, but it was okay. But still,
For
five
which
was
one?
insane. No, four.
Ah,
It was I mean, I'm not saying it was bad, but maybe the worst one for me.
right.
But yeah, but still, uh, five was insane. I think the single player was genius, and I almost wish that it was had some expansions, or and had some, because I would have played that game over and over again with only like a couple of new car models. And I know there are mods, but there's just something about the real developers implementing stuff.
Yeah, there is.
Um,
It comes with like a higher guarantee of quality, I guess.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and kind of, I mean, I know they had like heists and all that online, but I had like a very bad experience, like you, with the launch of
Yeah.
online,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh fuck this shit, I'm not gonna play this. And also the social club, I kind of hate. And I
Yeah.
actually bought the game. I own it on PlayStation, and I bought it for PC just for the first person and the improved graphics and stuff.
Hmm.
Uh, but the first time I tried to launch it, took such a fucking long time with all the sign-ins and the online stuff, the social club stuff. I just never played it again. So yeah,
Yeah. I know what you mean, though. The social club is dreadful, but um, yeah. I also wish they added expansions, to be honest,
mhm.
because like GTA 4, the episodes of Liberty City, is that what it's called? The
Yeah,
collection of expansions or standalone stories. Those were some of the best content of 4, especially Ballad of Gay Tony. It was hilariously good.
yeah, 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 yeah. Ballad of Gay Tony was insane, and it's lauded as a very like good part of the GT. Let's see here. Yeah, yeah, episodes of Liberty. That's right. It's like rated through the roof.
Right. And you can,
So
that one is, they were smart enough that they realized they could just release that as a standalone, and it costs like probably dirt cheap right now. And that one is so worth it. It's a lot of fun.
yeah, and that's what I mean. People like us, old boomer gamers, love these single player experiences from Rockstar,
Mm-hmm.
and I would pay 700, 800 kroner, not dollars, of course, but that's like
Yeah.
almost $100 for like a good game like that. I don't fucking care if it costs a lot as long as it delivers the goods.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I get that. Yeah, I kind of share that sentiment. Though I hope it's not gonna be $100.
No, for sure. I mean, everybody hopes that, but honestly, let's say they make like an insane GTA 6, and they say, oh, we're going to focus on the game, we're going to support it, we're going to patch it post launch with content. It costs $100.
Yeah. Let's just hope that they've learned that third time's the charm when it comes to better launch. I hope also that their PC port is going to get more love this time.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of been their focus is on console, understandably, because of the large installer base. But
Yeah.
I mean, PC is a very established platform, and a lot of hardcore gamers tend to play on PC, and with
Yep.
like controller support and stuff like that, I mean, it shouldn't be that hard to port it to get like an okay experience at least. What do you think?
It's hard to say. Since
Yeah, since you don't know how to port like from
yeah, I assume that those games are very, mechanically advanced, and like there's a lot of things that have to go smoothly when and such, because they messed it up pretty much on GTA 5, and GTA 4, and on Red Dead Redemption 2.
Mhm, yeah.
So I don't know. I hope that they make it more, that they kind of like design it for multi-platform from scratch.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, just a hope of mine.
But
But then
yeah,
again, I'm just a
would you pay
plebeian.
$100 for that
I would pay
good piece?
$100 for it.
I mean, I feel that if you can guarantee quality, then money isn't, that important. You buy a lot of shitty games, anyway. So
Yeah.
if you just kind of concentrate that flow of money into one expensive title, then I feel that would be worth it.
I mean, I'll
If
just
they
get
could,
it on the Series X, even if
yeah,
it books up
yeah.
on PC.
But I mean, you have the Series X, so
Yeah,
you
I do.
should get it on the Series X. That's a lot easier. That's why what consoles are for, just to kind of get that quick, easy to play. Just it's not buggy. It's optimized. You pick up the controller and just go. That's kind of the with PC. It's like, yeah, the latest NVIDIA driver hasn't come out yet, so your game's fucked.
Yeah.
Basically. Moving on a little bit, we also have one kind of indie news article today because the Binding of Isaac Rebirth is going to get a DLC. Uh, and you haven't played that game at all, as I understood.
I think I've just watched you play it, and I know that you are very fond of it, at least the first one.
Very fond of it. So, for those of you who don't know, the Binding of Isaac was a standalone solo project from Edmund Macmillan, and he basically programmed it and made the art almost all by himself, if I'm not mistaken. I think he had maybe one like partner for the art, and now he has like a team around him, and they decided to remake the game for in a better engine to kind of weed out a lot of the bugs and make like a better overall experience. So they made Binding of Isaac Rebirth, which also adds a little bit to the original game.
Hmm.
And now that Rebirth second edition is getting another package of content, which is very nice, to be honest. And I, of course, own this game.
So yeah, so it's safe to say that this DLC is going to make you go back and play the newer version as well.
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna test that out. I already have like a lot of playtime on Binding of Isaac. I've played well over 100 hours. So I've played that game a lot. So basically, for those of you who don't know, it's roguelites, or almost roguelike experience where you with a very crazy story, crazy art style. I can try to summarize. So basically, Isaac is a naked little boy living with his mother, and the game has a very Bible, Christianity themed story.
Hmm.
And his mother is compelled by God to kill Isaac. Just one day, she gets it in her head that he is the sinful child, and must be removed. So what Isaac does is he jumps into a hidden latch or cellar in his room that he suddenly finds when his mother is trying to kill him. And he jumps down, and there's a dungeon below. And this dungeon just, keeps going on and on through different levels. And in the dungeons, you find items, power ups. It's you can find more life and stuff like that. It's kind of RPG ish, but it's very random. And some items are almost useless, or it can even be negative, and some are really OP and they synergize. And it's the humor in the game is very grotesque, and yeah, the enemies are like aborted fetuses of Isaac's mother
Yes.
that kind of wander about, and there's living poop and living blood clots and stuff like that, and fistulas. It's all very gooey and icky. And flies, of course, loads and loads of flies. So yeah, and it's a very fun game. And it can be really really hard. You kind of shoot Isaac's tears because he's constantly crying, so that's his weapon.
Hmm.
Yeah, and you can augment the tears. They can become blood tears. It can become, you can shoot lasers. One item is like your tears can charge into a laser instead of like shooting out like a machine gun, and do like massive damage, but you have to charge it up, um, for instance. And another item is basically just a pure laser. You can get range increase, damage increase for your tears, increased interval, or like more tears per minute. Yeah, it's like crazy. There's so many items, insane, and some synergize. So, like you can get something called chocolate milk, and then you shoot chocolate milk tears, like brown chocolate tears, and that can and then you can get I think there's like a cyclops item which makes Isaac's you get like one huge eye instead of two normal eyes, and then you can get like an insane huge droplet out of your eye, which is also chocolate. It synergizes with the chocolate upgrade.
So you can kind of do like one of those optimal build runs kind of thing.
Yeah, insane replayability. If you haven't played Binding of Isaac, I absolutely, and you like roguelike styles with exploration, and like you can play this game over and over and over and over. And the way the game progresses is that when there are bosses every third level, I think, and the every third level the kind of setting changes, and you go deeper and deeper and deeper, and you can unlock new depths, so to say, by playing the game in different ways and beating it in a certain way. And yeah, so there are a lot of secrets in the game.
And that sounds like a huge recipe for one of those infinitely replayable games.
That's what it basically is. It's like designed to be played over and over and over and over and have fun each time. And you get really pissed off if you like got a good run where you have a lot of upgrades and got far, and you can be killed by insanely trivial enemies or stuff like that. So yeah, and like the game is so creative. For instance, you can get a trade with the devil in some secret rooms, and a trade can be like remove two of your hearts, basically like permanently remove hearts to gain some kind of power, and then you can be really really powerful, but you can only take one hit.
Right.
stuff like that. So you can do like a trade off, and you can do a trade off the other way. You can kind of decrease in power and speed to gain more health.
What's your expectation for the DLC though?
Okay, so it's named Repentance.
Yeah.
I mean, everything is basically Bible or Christian themed.
Yeah.
Uh, and there are, I don't quite know. I mean, it could be anything, but it's probably going to be, something along the lines of a punishment for Isaac, because that's kind of the theme of the whole game. Isaac is running from his mother, who's trying to kill him, and all her aborted fetuses and poops and stuff like that.
Yeah, and apparently the trailer has a lot of hidden secrets in it too, because there's a quote that says like the amazing trailer was done by Alex Hicks and is packed to the brim with nods to the past, present, and future. It just all depends on how wide your eyes are when watching and if you have an IQ over like 340.
Yeah. I'm watching it right now. It features like a lot of items from the game. If you've played it a lot, you'll recognize the items, and you kind of even recognize some things that are very obscure. Yeah. So basically, oh my god, yeah, it's a really it's a really good trailer. Getting me hyped. So yeah, the thing is that the items and power ups you don't know what they do, and you only get the name when you acquire it. So you kind of have to explore, and that's also part of the game. So the trailer is really good. It basically teases in a million different ways if you play the game a lot.
All right,
So yes,
well, maybe I'll check it
check
out.
it out. You should.
I'm
And I
already looking into quite a few of the indie games and like more roguelike lighty games that are on Game Pass. Shameless Game Pass plug again. But
mhm,
because like they have all the Ori games, they have Hollow Knight, they have Dead Cells, and those things.
mhm. Dead
So
Cell.
I've been like close to pressing download on pretty much all of them, but I haven't gotten
Mhm.
that far just yet because I recently got back into Yakuza Like a Dragon because I didn't have time to finish it before Cyberpunk came out.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think Like a Dragon is one of my absolute top games of the year for last year.
Yeah.
It was just such a great game.
100%. Yeah.
And I warmly recommend it. Even if you haven't had any experience with Yakuza games before, just like it's basically a new entry point, and it has a lot of nods for longtime fans. But it's a good way for new people to enter the series as well.
I mean, you have a lot of that as one of your absolute favorites for a long time. So
Yeah, that one and Ghost of Tsushima were probably my two favorite games of last year.
you heard it here first, boys and girls and everybody. So with that, I think we're done for today. Remember to stay humid
And
and
stay
stay
dead.